The avoidant person possesses unique psychological wiring that creates permanent imprint of specific individuals who penetrated their defenses and offered what their wounded psyche desperately needed but could not accept. While they move through relationships with apparent ease and emotional detachment, certain people haunt them indefinitely, occupying psychological space that no amount of time or distance can erase. These individuals become permanent fixtures in their internal landscape precisely because they represented what the avoidant person most needed but felt least capable of receiving, creating unresolved longing that persists across their lifetime. The person who loved them without conditions or demands. The avoidant person never recovers from encountering someone who offered genuine unconditional acceptance without requiring immediate emotional reciprocity or consistent availability. This rare individual demonstrated through patient action that their regard existed independent of the avoidant person's capacity to meet relationship expectations or reciprocate feelings on any particular timeline. They loved the avoidant person's authentic self, including their limitations and wounds, neither trying to fix them nor tolerating abuse in the name of understanding trauma. This person becomes unforgettable because they offered what the avoidant person's wounded psyche most desperately needed. Proof that they were lovable exactly as they were, including their defensive patterns and emotional limitations. The avoidant person spends their life searching for this acceptance and new connections while simultaneously sabotaging relationships before anyone can know them deeply enough to offer it genuinely. The person who actually provided this unconditional regard becomes permanent standard against which all future partners are measured and inevitably found wanting. The person who maintained their dignity while walking away. The avoidant person never forgets someone who demonstrated enough self-respect and emotional strength to leave when their needs remained chronically unmet, who walked away with quiet dignity rather than desperate pursuit or bitter recrimination. This individual refused to beg, chase, or compromise their worth by accepting breadcrumbs and ambiguity indefinitely. Their departure communicated clear message about their value and standards that penetrated the avoidant person's defenses in ways that confrontation or ultimatums never could. This person haunts them because their dignified departure forced recognition that the avoidant person's defensive patterns have real consequences with people who possess genuine self-worth. They demonstrated that love and respect for oneself can coexist with care for another, that walking away sometimes represents strength rather than weakness or lack of feeling. The avoidant person encounters this person's absence as constant reminder of what they destroyed through their inability to meet someone halfway, creating permanent regret about losing someone who knew their worth. The person who saw their potential beneath their defenses. The avoidant person carries permanent imprint of someone who possessed the emotional intelligence to recognize their difficult behaviors as protective mechanisms, while simultaneously seeing their capacity for depth, vulnerability, and genuine connection beneath the armor. This rare individual did not accept their defensive presentation as their complete self, but rather intuited the wounded child hiding beneath detachment and recognized their potential for transformation and healing. This person becomes unforgettable because they saw who the avoidant person could become rather than only who they currently were, offering glimpse of their better self that they could not yet access or sustain. The avoidant person spends years wondering whether they could have met that potential if they had possessed courage to trust this person's vision of them. This individual represents the road not taken, the version of themselves they might have become if fear had not prevented them from receiving the love and acceptance that could have facilitated their healing. The person who created safety they had never experienced. The avoidant person never recovers from encountering someone who somehow created unprecedented psychological safety where they could lower their defenses without triggering their usual panic about vulnerability and loss of autonomy.